exactly how this evidence would be used in the future, but they understood that preserving it was their only hope against time. To ensure these samples would be admissible in a future courtroom, investigators meticulously maintained the chain of custody. This legal and procedural mandate requires a chronological, unbroken paper trail documenting the seizure, custody, control, transfer, and analysis of physical evidence. Every time a freezer door was opened, every time a vial was moved to a new facility, a signature and timestamp were recorded. If this chain were broken, a defense attorney could argue the evidence had been tampered with, rendering it inadmissible. This strict adherence to protocol would prove to be the most critical administrative action in the history of the King County Task Force. As the 1980s bled into the 1990s, the active killings appeared to stop, and the Green River Killer case slowly went cold. The task force was downsized, files were boxed up, and the terror that had gripped the Pacific Northwest settled into a chronic, lingering grief. Yet, inside the evidence lockers, the frozen swabs remained perfectly intact, a microscopic time capsule holding the identity of America's most prolific serial murderer. The landscape of criminal investigation fundamentally transformed by the turn of the millennium. The evolution of DNA forensics moved from rudimentary matching to highly sophisticated molecular analysis. Scientists developed polymerase chain reaction, a technique utilizing thermal cycling to amplify minute, degraded DNA samples into testable quantities. By 2001, the Washington State Patrol Crime Laboratory possessed the technology to extract a definitive genetic fingerprint from the ghosts of the Green River. Armed with this new scientific capability, cold case detectives reopened the frozen archives. Detective Tom Jensen, the last original member of the task force, requested that the state lab re-examine the seminal swabs collected nearly 2 decades prior. The request was a gamble, as extracting DNA from 20-year-old evidence was fraught with the risk of contamination or failure due to cellular degradation. Forensic scientists targeted short tandem repeats within the genetic material. These are specific sequences of DNA that vary wildly from person to person, creating a highly unique profile. The lab successfully extracted a clean DNA profile from the semen found on 3 of the early victims. The next step was to compare this profile against the thousands of suspect samples collected over the years, including a piece of gauze used to collect a saliva sample from a truck painter in 1987. In September 2001, the laboratory computers completed their comparative analysis. The genetic markers from the victims' swabs aligned perfectly with the saliva sample taken from Gary Ridgway